Hello and welcome everybody to this webinar on building a peak performing website in 2020. We're joined by Luke Summerfield from HubSpot. Clearly he's pumped to be here, waving. I hope you're pumped to be here because Luke's going to deliver a ton of value here. I think like no other time, your digital presence is key to your business growth, and your website is the foundation of your digital marketing presence. So if you don't have that right, what the world do you have right? So that's what we're going to talk about. That's how we're going to learn to grow your businesses, your enterprises on this webinar. I'm going to turn it over to Luke. I'm sure there's going to be opportunities for you to ask questions at the end. Feel free in the meantime to put them in the chat pane as well. But at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Luke. Thanks again.
Beautiful. All right. Welcome, my friends. Thank you so much for spending your time today with me. And as Ben mentioned, we're going to be talking about how to build a peak performing website in 2020. So this was me last night preparing for this talk at, of course, 2 a.m., changing all your slides as one does right before a presentation. And I stumbled on something remarkable, like absolutely remarkable, totally blew my mind. Does anyone know what this is? Let me know in the chat pane. I got the chat pane open. I got my eyes on it. Let me know in the chat pane. Do you know what this is? Well, when I was researching, I found out that this was a standard way of delivering software in the 90s. They called it CDs or CD-ROMs for the technical folks. And they were really interesting. You had to essentially treat them like your children. You had to keep them safe. You had to clean them. You had to put them in good places so they didn't get hurt. And this was really remarkable. The second thing that I found out was that they only released these things once every 2 years. And so you'd have this really interesting release cycle where you'd have Microsoft 95 or Windows 95, and they would release that. And then the dev team would go back into the back of Microsoft and code, and you wouldn't really hear much about it until Windows 98 came out. Absolutely fascinating. Now, the other thing that's fascinating is while this was going on, behind the scenes, a shift was happening. And we saw a shift in the software industry in 3 ways. The first one was technology. Servers were getting faster, internet speed was getting faster, serving pricing was going down. We were seeing all these really interesting shifts happening in the technology space. We also saw that shift in technology influence a change in how software companies were building software. They were able to release things faster, get into a faster release cycle. They were able to collect more user data about how people were interacting with their software to make those decisions on what to do next. And that informed the culture on which a company thinks about building a business. It changed the way that software companies thought about how they grow a big business using their software. And these 3 shifts came together to form some magic that we call SaaS, software as a service. And this SaaS revolution totally changed the software industry in the 90s and 2000s. We saw some companies who were able to make this shift from the CD-ROM days to the SaaS software days that we know of today. Some that made the shift okay, some that did not make the shift, perished along the way, and a couple companies that were just glimmers of ideas back in CD-ROM days that are totally revolutionizing the world today. Folks like Google, Slack. But Luke, you're probably asking yourself, we're here to talk about websites. Why are we not talking about websites? Well, my friends, these same 3 shifts are happening in the world of websites today. We're seeing technology, process, and culture around how to leverage a website to drive business growth change. And that change is opening a door of opportunity for each and every one of us, my friends. And that's what I want to talk about today, are these shifts, and then give you some tactical takeaways that you can start implementing with your teams based off of it. Let's start by talking about culture. So let me know in the chat pane. I have the chat pane open. Let me know, why does your business have a website? What is the purpose of your business having a website? Hopefully not for fun. You're a business. Let me know, why do you want to have a website at your business? Well, if you're like most companies that I talk to, as Chris says in the chat pane, he says lead generation. It's to help grow the business. It's to help drive business growth. And that's through attracting new people in. It's converting them into leads, as Chris said. And it's to get customers, as was just mentioned in the chat pane. It's to convert them into paying customers. But if we look at how traditionally a business has thought about their website, traditionally they've thought of it very much as a business expense. This is just like a necessary evil that we have to go through as part of operating a business. And it's a sunk cost. It's just like a cost that we're going to spend and need to do. When we look at modern cultures of modern companies, the companies that are just skyrocketing in growth, they have a different mentality, a different culture on how they think about their website. They think about it like a growth investment. They know that when they invest time, when they invest energy into the website, optimizing, building new assets, building new tools, as Chris says, educating, building new things to help educate your visitors and your customers, that investment of time and energy and money will come out and pay a dividend to the business. It'll help business growth, right? So it's more like a investment portfolio, less like a business expense. Traditional culture to a website thinks of the website very much like a brochure. It's a digital brochure. Maybe back in the day, your sales team had some PDF that your marketing team was asked, okay, we got to digitize this thing and we need to be able to like send that out online. Modern company culture thinks about the website very differently. They think about it as a product in your product line. So for those listening in the B2B world or B2C, you probably have a product line of products or services that you sell to your customers. And modern companies think about their website as one of those products in their product line. Could be a free product, right? If you're not charging anything. But we're seeing more and more customers today. Ben and I were just talking about a customer before the call that are starting to think about how can we leverage the website as a way to build monetizable products. These could be academies, education centers, tools, resources that people are willing to pay money for. And it's also, they think about a product that has wide sweeping impact across the company. It's not just how do we leverage the website to help the marketing team. It's important. If you're a marketer and you're listening to it, traditionally the website's been owned by a marketer, but we need to think beyond that. As someone who's got a marketing background, I have little blinders on where that's the first place I used to think of the website. But the website's really a tool. It's really a tool that the entire company in every department can leverage to hit their goals. So we start thinking about expanding the view in addition to what the marketing team needs to do. How might we leverage the website to help the customer service team decrease support tickets? How might we leverage the website to help new customer onboarding so that customers onboard very effectively, build onboarding flows, they activate, they retain longer? How might we leverage the website to build customer centers where we can try to deliver more value to customers and drive cross-sell, upsell, and retention? And so they start thinking about leveraging the website, again, like a product across the entire business. The third thing that traditional culture does is it makes a lot of assumptions about what we should do with the website. It's what looks pretty. What does the CEO think? Anyone, let me know in the chat pane if that sounds familiar. If your CEO is saying, hey, we should do this, and you're kind of scratching your head like, I don't know. But it's very much a culture of assumptions. And so Tamara says, yes, that sounds familiar. Ben says, no, never. He's never heard that before. It's a culture about assumptions. And so modern companies, they make their decisions through data. They are informed by the usage, by the information that their customers, their visitors on the site are telling them, and they're telling them through their behavior, through their actions. Or, you can use feedback collection mechanisms that get direct qualitative feedback, but they're using this data to guide their decisions versus blindly making assumptions. So these, my friends, are the three ways for you as a company, not just your marketing team, but you as a company to think differently about your website. And so I ask you to reject that traditional culture and start thinking about modern culture.